Too naughty or too nice? You decide with the Too Nice, Too Naughty podcast featuring Santa Corky and Joe Lewis.
Let's go. I think we should use that every time.
Okay, throw it in the can. Throw it in the can.
Too naughty or too nice? You decide. Featuring Santa Corky and Joe Lewis.
Too naughty, I'm too nice. Naughty, I'm too nice. I'm too naughty, I'm too nice. Naughty, I'm too nice. I'm too naughty, I'm too nice. Naughty, I'm too nice. I'm too naughty, I'm too nice. Naughty, I'm too nice. I'm too naughty, I'm too nice. Naughty, I'm too nice. I'm too naughty, I'm too nice. Naughty, I'm too nice. I'm too naughty, I'm too nice. Naughty, I'm too nice. I'm too naughty, I'm too nice. Naughty, I'm too nice. I'm too nice.
I am very nice, but that doesn't mean I'm not incredibly naughty, if you know what I mean.
Come on, Santa. Man, I'd like to have $1 for every time I've heard that.
If I had $1 for every time I said it, I'd be rich.
That's so funny. I'm kind of curious on the best way to do this, because I really want to dive into spreadthecheerusa.org. I always say that. That's how I say it. Spread the cheer, I guess. What most people.
The Cheer USA is the official name. Yeah, but
right. Our podcast has been naughty, real naughty, too nice, and how I got there, and how other people have done it. We've done a few interviews, but we just get to start with flat out super nice, and this is exciting for me. Super.
Aw. Thanks, Santa.
Yeah. So this is Danielle from Spread the Cheer USA or spreadthecheerusa.org, and my co-host Joe Lewis. And we're going to do a deep dive with Danielle about Spread the Cheer USA. And we're going to talk about where it began and where she's at today, and where the foundation is today. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, and thank you for coming on. I'm so excited to be doing some more projects with you. I'm so super stoked about that, and doing future projects this coming year. So anyway,
me too. I'm so excited.
And can you help us out? How did it start? I have an idea, but I want our listeners to know, how did this all start? Where were you? What happened? All of a sudden, this thing is huge. It's gone crazy. So
yeah, it's started from a very negative space, and it's shifted into an incredibly positive space, and I couldn't be more grateful. I personally was going back in December of 2020, was personally going through some really difficult times. Just had gone through a really nasty divorce, and it was a couple weeks before Christmas. It was the first time my kids were away from me and with their dad, and I just remember sitting on my couch, staring at my Christmas tree, feeling super sorry for myself. And it was in that moment that I was like, that little voice in the back of my head was like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, look around you. You have all of this to be thankful and grateful for. And I said, Danielle, there are people that have it way, way worse than you do. And maybe you can turn this around, and maybe you should go help them. And that'll remind you of just how grateful you should be instead of feeling sorry for yourself. And so I vowed that year to go help 3 families locally for Christmas. I didn't know how I was going to find them. I didn't know what I was going to do it, but I knew I wanted to. And at the time I had a small following on TikTok, and I said, you know what, let me just put this idea out to the people that I had met recently on TikTok, see if anyone wants to do something with me, and maybe we can, figure something out together. And it ended up, a lot of people wanted to get involved, and a lot of people wanted to help do good and help other people. And we ended up in 2 weeks raising $12,000. We were able to help 20 families across the country with Christmas presents and things for their families. And and it started just like that. And it was from that very moment that I knew that this was going to be something, and that I wanted to make it something.
Right. So it basically started from your TikTok channel, from your TikTok, right? And
Yes.
saying, hey, this is what I'd like to do. And those people started helping you out financially, or how did that work? Because I'm curious, because I have a pretty large following, and I want to be
Yeah.
able to integrate my community to doing the same exact thing. We did a little bit, but we didn't do it. I want to do it on the scale, like you're doing it. I want to double what you're doing, and I think we can do it.
Yeah, no, and I think we could definitely do it together, and I could definitely help to do that because we've worked through a lot of the kinks and the what not to do's. But
Exactly.
it really came down to just the people. Social media is such an incredible tool when it's used appropriately, and I don't know that I know a lot of people use that for self, right? They use it to be financially secure or sell products or grow their business, but it's usually very self-driven, and that's fine. Like that's a great tool as well to use, but I see it more as you can reach people so much faster, and there are so many people out there that want to do good things and they just don't know where to start or how or what steps to take. And well, I have learned all of those things in the last few years, and yeah, I mean, it just started from just having an incredible group of individuals who had the same hearts, and they reached out to their friends and, hey, I know this person who wanted to do this fundraiser, but they just didn't know who to give it to. And, we know this family that could use some help this year. And that is really how it started. It was just all a bunch of people coming together. And it wasn't just me. It was just, I had the idea, but it was me just taking action and follow through.
Sure, exactly. And as you're talking, I'm thinking, so I personally was going to start North Pole Nation Foundation. And then I realized how much work that's going to be. And then I got to find somebody that can head it up because of what I do. But then I was looking for a foundation that's already got it done. I can just funnel everything that I would like to do through them. And so we're in contact with a lot of other creators now, large creators at this time, which is exciting. So if you're a large creator out there, really take a look at Spread the Cheer USA. Really take a look. Save yourself a lot of grief and really take a look at them. I think it will be life-changing for you and also your community. Also, your community is going to absolutely love it because we could be in your town. You never know. I just had mentioned this a couple of times, and I had people go, hey, would you come to my town? Oh, I'd love to have you come to my town. And then I started asking where they are, and they're in Chicago, they're, Pennsylvania, they're East Coast, West Coast, they're all over the place. So that's where I get really excited is we have people, and I know the other creators out there that would like to do this would have the same results, and we can make a huge, huge difference out there with what Danielle has already created. So
Yeah, and I say it all the time because I believe it or not, I get a lot of creators who say the same things, and they message me and they say, like, how did you do it? How did you start the nonprofit? Like, what do you do? And I'm just like, it was a lot of work, and it is a lot of work, and it takes a lot of spare time. You have to be in a position where you either, make it your full-time job where you're, you don't do anything else, or you have to be in a position where you're fortunate enough to be able to dedicate the time to do it. And so I am fortunately one of those people, but I always tell them, you can do it. Absolutely. You can create a nonprofit. You can go register a 501c3. You can build a board and, of trustworthy, amazing, capable individuals, and you can start it. But you could also just this is Spread the Cheer USA is not mine. It is not my nonprofit. It is everyone's nonprofit. And that's really, truly what I wholeheartedly believe. Like I couldn't do this on my own. And there's a lot of people out there that want to, like you, contribute to doing something good, but don't have the time or the availability to dive in fully like that. So you use Spread the Cheer USA, like use it as your own. If you're in Chicago, if you're in Florida, if you're in anywhere in the US, we've even had people in Canada reach out saying, can we start something for Spread the Cheer here? And so we're looking at expanding, and it was our 5-year goal to be, out, worldwide. So I think anyone can jump on board, and anyone can use Spread the Cheer USA as their, platform to be able to give back and do good.
Okay, perfect. Great. So here I am in my local town, and I want to start Spread the Cheer USA here. This is my foundation that I'm going to partner with and take off with. And okay, what starts that process? How do I start that process? I'm an influencer in Chicago, or I'm an influencer in LA. How do I start the process to do what you're doing?
Well, since Spread the Cheer USA is all about spreading cheer, like there are unlimited possibilities. And I truly say that. Like I'll give you a for instance.
It's year round. It's just like Christmas.
It's not just
going up. Doesn't make it just Christmas. That's what I'm excited about too. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No, we spread the cheer beyond just the holidays. Obviously Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, but like for instance, we had a gentleman approach us that lives in Dallas, and he said, I love what you guys are doing. I have this podcast that we host through Dave & Buster's. The gentleman who owns it actually is affiliated with the corporate level of Dave & Buster's. We want to do something. We want to give back. What can we do? And so we've formulated this idea that's happening in February now, where we're basically get the full run of Dave & Buster's in Dallas, and we're going to be inviting a bunch of foster kids and underprivileged kiddos to come and enjoy afternoon at Dave & Buster's to come play. We're going to make it a fundraiser, a live podcast, have performances. And it all just started because someone said, I want to spread cheer here. What can we do together? And so it can be anything at any point. Whatever is in your heart, we can make it happen for sure.
Right. That is so perfect. That is so perfect. Yeah, I just had another thought. I just spaced it. That's the old man syndrome. That'll get cut out. or it won't.
Well,
It'll be a blooper. Beep. I'll just beep for you. Beep.
Well, let's pivot and let's switch gears a little bit, because Danielle, I'm sure you love talking about Spread the Cheer, but let's talk about you a little bit. So you mentioned that this organization started on the heels of a divorce. All three of us here are divorced. And divorces change your life a lot. And everybody's situation is different, of course, but tell us what you want to tell us about the divorce. What did that change for you, except for, of course, giving you inspiration to start this nonprofit, but what was that like for you? And what does that mean for you in the nonprofit? Like, how did you actually get there? You told us a story a little bit on a different podcast, but I think that it sheds a lot of light in terms of who you are as a person and, your journey versus what you do for work.
Yeah. Sorry,
that was a quick 1-2, you just went from to
I can handle it. Right. As we all know, divorce is incredibly difficult. It was like right now, my kids left yesterday. I drove them to the airport to go spend a week with their dad in New Jersey. And like, that's never fun. I don't think I could ever get used to it. Normally when this happens, I actually travel and I just run away. And I think that's like a defense tactic to not have to face the fact that I'm just in this house by myself. But, I'm here now and I decided to stay. And I, through the divorce, have learned so much about myself. Like, I think it's like the biggest blessing, honestly, in disguise, because
I was just going to say, what was your favorite thing that you learned about yourself through the divorce? Like, what did you become appreciative of? Like, oh God, I'm glad I learned these lessons.
Yeah, well, it made me like very trepidatious about dating. but beyond that, like, I just realized how much of a badass like I can be. Like, I am strong, I am fierce, I am intelligent, like I can do anything that I put my mind to, and I will find a way to do it if I like have any doubts. And it almost made me spiteful in a way because I wanted to like prove even
Prove
more
something.
how
Yeah.
much I could do and accomplish. And so like I'm just proud of myself. I feel like I don't talk about myself a lot like that, but I just really truly am like proud of myself for how far I've come.
No, it's just I always see people, especially people that are doing great things and making huge effects in people's lives out there. They either make this big change out of desperation or inspiration. And what I heard in your voice, there was some desperation, but it's over mounting inspiration is what started changing things for you. It inspired you to go out there and be a badass and change the world. And 70% of my following are females, and they love hearing this stuff. And most of them probably have gone through a divorce. So I love this kind of stuff. So I think
Well, to all the females out there who might be dealing with it and feeling sorry for yourself, you are also a badass, and don't ever forget that, because you can do anything you put your mind to. Absolutely anything. I promise, no matter your circumstances, your situation, your financial stability, you can and you will, for sure.
Right. Exactly.
So what's the difference in the person you became and the person you were? So did you not feel like a badass prior to? Were you not did you not have that different, like the walk that you have now, confidence, was it not there? Like what's the difference in terms of like when you say like, hey, this person's a badass now? Like, were you not a badass before?
I guess I was just, I know I always have been confident in who I am. Like I'm very, like I've never really swayed from the person I am, but what I did do a lot was I am often a people pleaser, and I try to accommodate other people's feelings. And in my past relationship, I did that a lot. And I, bowed down more and took a back seat to, making sure that people were happy, until there was a moment where I was just so anxious and unhappy that I was like, it was physically affecting me, in such a negative way. And it took a lot of realization that, that was actually what was happening for me to be strong enough to say like, this isn't for me anymore. And take a step out. So I've always been confident, but it just took being alone and solo with my own thoughts inside my own person to really realize like, hey, you got this. Like you're okay. Like you can do all these things.
Did you reach out and have some mentors out there, or were there people that you like to follow that you started learning some of this from, or getting some inspiration from?
Not really on social media. I mean, there was like obviously huge support. Like I used to, when I first started on TikTok, because before COVID, before the divorce, like I was not huge on, like I'd post my family and my kids and that kind of stuff. But, when I joined TikTok, there was like just such an incredible support. We formed this little group called the Chaos Crew, which I used to do lives like every night. We would do trivia, we would do dancing. It was like super fun. And I've kind of steered away from that just because of how busy I've become. But really, I really have to thank my supporters on TikTok for just encouraging me and like supporting me, and, and of course my mom and my dad and, my family, that they live real close to me. So definitely couldn't have done it without them.
Who is the person that saved you? Like, who is that, who is that friend that you were like, all right, when I look back on the process of this divorce, I'm very glad that I had this one person, because if it had not been for them, I would have jumped off a bridge. So for me, is my best friend, Alex. I shit you not. There would be times where he would just pull up to the house and be like, hey, bro, I'm outside. You didn't answer 5 phone calls. What's up? And I know you're probably having a bad day. Come outside. Come hang out. And and there would be days where he popped up. He probably showed up and I was crying. He had no idea. He's just being a friend, like checking in on Joe. So who was that person for you that like really probably like helped you through this process a lot, or was more help than they probably realized?
What's sad is that I don't know, like that I have a quote unquote like friend that I have. I mean, I have like my mom and my dad, like I was living with them like through the divorce with my kids. And, I think when it really came down to it, my kids were obviously my biggest push and inspiration. Just seeing their resilience and their strength and making sure that I was strong for them. But really, to be honest, what did save me is Spread the Cheer USA. Like it really, really did.
Yeah, I would get that. That's very understandable, because you started seeing support come all around going, hey, you're on a good thing. This is exciting. I want to be a part of what you're doing. It started filling up that part of you that you were probably needing very much at that time. I'm like Joe. I have a best friend in my life. 12 years ago, we met, or 20 years ago we met, but 12 years ago I decided to change my life, and it was through a friend that still we're very good friends and talk nearly every week at this moment too. So, but I could see where Spread the Cheer could be something like that. You're point, because even at my platform, that's really changed a whole lot of things for me too. Tons of things, And then
for sure. I mean, like the board members and the people, just at first it was, I think, almost of a distraction, just from like the pain and the, just that daily facing of like, okay, now what? I used it really just as a distraction at first, and now it's just become like just my joy and my happiness. And I don't, and I don't know where or what I would be doing if I didn't have that moment 3 years ago.
Right. What were you doing prior to Spread the Cheer?
So I'm still doing it. I mean, I do, I've had multiple businesses. I went to school for multiple things.
What do you do aside from Spread the Cheer? I don't want everybody else thinking like you're only a nonprofit owner and that you just only do things not for profit. Danielle works for profit too.
Yeah, no, I obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be able to be here doing this.
Right.
So I started, I didn't know really what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something creative, like in the arts. I almost went to school for animation, and fine arts. And I decided not to do that, because my parents honestly couldn't afford. I was going to go to the Art Institute in Arizona. That didn't work. And then, I was very into music, very into acting, like right out of high school, graduated early, flew to LA to with my boyfriend at the time, who was a stand-up comedian, wanted to get into acting, did some commercials, did that kind of stuff. Then I was like, this is going to be way too hard. So moved back, closer to my parents, and ended up, going out to college here in Colorado for a little bit. Didn't finish, because I just hated math and I didn't want to finish the math classes. And I was like, this is dumb. So then I ended up investing in a little condo and a property. My parents helped me buy it and lived there. And then I started, jumped around so many jobs: marketing, advertising, event planning, worked as an assistant wedding planner. Just very much in the creative realm still. Mm-hmm. And then started working at a local martial arts school, a Taekwondo school, where me and my mom were training in Taekwondo. And they asked me if I wanted to come work there. And I was like, okay, you got to pay me more than what I'm working.
Kick ass?
Yeah, I'm a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo. Wow.
Don't fuck with you.
He is a badass.
But yeah, that's where I ended up actually meeting my now ex-husband. We met at a martial arts tournament in Anaheim and started dating long distance.
Do the kids kick ass too? Like, is this a bloodline thing?
Yeah, so my daughter trained a little bit, but then with the divorce and everything, she wasn't really into it. She's more into like acting and that kind of stuff too. But yeah, so then.
When you guys got into an argument, did you guys just strap the belts on and say, let's go? Like, how did that work? Like, how does that work with two black belts in a relationship? Like,
Yeah, it never really comes up. You would think, right? Like in the back of your head, you're like, I could totally kick your
I
ass,
could
but
take you right
really
now,
that
yeah.
never really that never gets that level.
That's probably a good
Yeah,
thing it
so
doesn't.
long story short, I've worked in a bunch of different things, went back to school for interior design, started an interior design business that I did for a while, staging and all that stuff. And then started just, throughout the marriage, we were investing in properties and we were flipping houses and just doing a bunch of stuff. So now, to bring you up to speed, I have a handful of properties across the country that I rent out as Airbnbs. And I co-own a liquor store with my parents here in Colorado Springs. Even though I don't drink, it's very weird, but I do own a liquor store.
They say you're never supposed to get high on your own supply. So I think you're doing it just exactly how you're supposed to do it. You own it, don't touch it.
I could recommend some good stuff. I used to drink back in the day, but I just never enjoyed it. And so, yeah, and I do that. And that's pretty much all I got going on for right now in the nonprofit. And yeah.
Do you have any future
being a mom?
Yeah. Do you have any future? We didn't ask. How many children do you have and what are their ages?
I was just going to ask, how many kids do you have and how old are they? And do you like them?
You guys are so on the same wavelength.
I know.
Yeah, me and Santa,
Yeah, so I have two kids. My daughter Carmen is she just turned 12 back in June, and then my son Parker, he just turned 6 in November. I actually got pregnant in between both of those kids, but I miscarried. So I would have had, I don't know, 2. I might have stopped at that second one, but yeah, it all works out how it's supposed to. So
how fun.
Do you like them?
Do I like them? Not really.
Just between us, like, all the adults here, I've learned that with parents, you have to do a check-in, like, hey, do you like your kid? Because sometimes kids are like, little shits.
That
Can I just tell you, this is not me being like, impartial or anything, but my kids are friggin' amazing. Really, they truly are. Like, they're great human beings. They're good. Sensitive and emotional and kind and respectful and funny. Like, they're just really amazing kids considering like everything they've been through in their little lives already.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So so you've been married, you got kids. Do you want more kids? Would you get married again? Do you recommend marriage to people out there? It's like Santa, he loves marriage. He's done it a couple times, so he would tell you, try it, so, but you've been through it. Would you do it again?
I don't know.
Are you reluctant to it?
Yeah, I tried to date a little bit, like a year or 2 after the divorce. And, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like,
right? Yeah,
I'm so unsure about it now. Like, I don't know if I would ever get married again. 'Cause it's not that I don't believe in it. It's just that, I don't know. Now that I've gone through it and the lawyers and the legal aspect of it, it's like, I don't know. Is it really necessary?
Right. Yeah.
Or is it just something we're told we're supposed to do? But that's just also me being probably just, negative and pessimistic about it.
What was your favorite thing about being married, or what's the thing that you missed about the union of marriage, partnership? Or do you not miss anything about it at all?
The only reason I think that I was like apt to getting married is because I actually got pregnant while I was engaged and decided that I didn't want my kids to be born and have a different last name, like, me to have a different last name. And so I wanted that same last name so bad. And that was really the main reason. Otherwise, like, I don't know, I always pictured like the white dress and the ring and the thing, but my wedding was, honestly, it sucked. It was terrible. I was pregnant and it was like the worst concept ever. And not what I would have wanted. It was more of what my ex-husband wanted.
I love you, Danielle. I absolutely love you.
Oh,
I'm
man.
not kidding.
It was terrible.
Mine was on Zoom, so it could have been worse than mine.
Yours was on Zoom?
Yeah,
What the heck?
believe it or not, so my ex-wife is Brazilian. We were both in Brazil, and you can get married through the state of Utah on a Zoom call. You just need to
What?
have two
So
witnesses. Yeah,
wait. So like if Santa was the ordained minister and I'm your
I am.
ex-wife and
I
you're
am.
you.
I
So
just want you to know
oh, you
I am.
are. Oh, that's
yeah,
good
yeah.
to
So
know.
I have married people before.
See, okay, so you're saying that we would just be like on here, I'd be like all dressed up in my dress or whatever, and Santa would be marrying us.
I mean, one, I'd never divorce you, but we could be together.
You can't say that. You
I
can't
can.
say
I
that.
think I may
I have
confidently
to
say
tell
that.
you, yeah, Joe has a little heartthrob for you. I had to tell him to slow down, relax.
Aw, Joey.
Boy, see, now you know. But yeah,
Oh,
you can actually do that. But
let
I
me
was
get
in
my
Brazil.
book.
I wasn't even in the States.
Oh, that's so funny.
So
I
yeah,
like did not know that you could do that.
you know, it took me so it was not weird, but when you're dating somebody from a different country, the marriage, like you have to be married for like the logistics of your relationship because of the visas. So, and I'm a bit of a passion person, so I looked at her and was like, "Oh, we're gonna get married." So then that just steamrolled this massive passion train of like, you know, like fairy tale movie kind of type of love story. And we're like, "Fuck, we need to get married." But because of paperwork, she can't come into the States, and it's
Yeah.
too much paperwork to bring over to Brazil. It's very clunky with the visas. So we're like, all right, let's just do an online marriage. And somebody left this company, and it cost like $2,000, right? And somebody left a company a really bad review, and they were like, "Why is somebody paying $2,000 for this? All they're doing is going to Utah." I'm like, what? And I've been spending like years or like a year and a half of research finding out how to like figure out how we can get married so she can come into the States. And I Googled like Utah marriages, and literally it's a Zoom call. You can schedule it for the next day. It costs $50. Like they print you, like
Oh my God.
you get a PDF of the marriage certificate. A Utah judge hops in, does the wedding for you. All you need is a witness to be in person on either side. So if we weren't together, I just need to have a witness here. She needed a witness there. But because we were both together in the same place, we just had two witnesses in the back and then sent the link out to a bunch of friends and family. It was like a 45-minute process.
What?
Great.
Oh, so they were on the Zoom too?
Yeah, it was like, yeah, it was.
Recording of it?
I actually do. Yeah, it's on a hard drive. I do have a recording of my Zoom wedding. So for anybody out there, you know, don't go to Vegas. Hop on a Zoom call. That's all you got to do.
Oh my God. That is
See,
so
my
funny.
wife-
Not
my-
to downplay your
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
no, I honest to God think that's the most like when I look back at life and think about the things that I've done, that's the most like, yeah, that was you being Joe. Like, why did you get married on a Zoom call, bro? Like,
well,
what are you
Joey,
doing?
I'm gonna call you Joey now because I
You
feel like
call
we're
me
at that
whatever.
level.
Yeah, you call me whatever you want.
I want to tell you. So at the Cheer Choice Awards, when you go into the theater space, there is the Billy Idol from his White Wedding music video, the White Wedding Chapel that they filmed and that he put together. Because he was part of the whole like planning and design process for that theater because he wanted somewhere to like host his show. And so there is the White Wedding Chapel in the space in the theater for the Cheer Choice Awards. Like it's in there. So, Santa's going to be there.
Right?
It's in April.
All
It's
right,
in April.
I have 4 months to be single, Santa. So getting married in April.
I'm just letting you know,
I'm marking my calendar now. Perfect. There's a chapel.
Now he's
So
really
Santa, tell us how do you feel, Santa? Because you're remarried, and of course you're all happy and whatnot. So how did you do it? Because I'm a little bit like Danielle. Like I'm a little reluctant to marriage again, but I love the partnership. Like I loved having a partner. When I look at my parents' relationship, they work together. I think that's what I mean by partnership is like somebody who's close that I can work with and who we're doing the same things.
Right.
But Sandra, you got remarried, so like, how did you conjure up the? I guess scary to be like, hey, I gave one person 100%, it didn't work out. Let me give another person 100%, and like that's
Terrifying.
scary. That's terrifying. Like I've done it twice now. I just didn't marry the second one. I don't want to know if I want to do it again. So how did you get yourself to feel okay enough to say, hey, I'm going to take this chance, again, and then
This is my third marriage. Yeah, number 3. And my first one was my high school girlfriend. And
Aww.
and we had 2 boys. And then the second one was a rebound from that divorce, which was I would say, I call them, I used to like to date hot rods, beautiful, crazy women. Beautiful, crazy women. So I called them hot rods, and that's, I was in the rodeo business at that time. Is that okay to say?
It's so fun. I love it.
I've honest to God never heard a woman be referred to as a hot rod. I kind of like it.
These are
like
sweet,
kind of somebody who's kind of spicy for you.
Yeah. No,
Spicy.
they would party.
A challenge. You liked a challenge.
Right.
I see
Remember, that. I divorced in the 80s, early 80s. I partied through the 80s. You guys are too young to know what the 80s were like, but it was seriously party time.
I was coming out of the womb in the 80s.
Right. See, so you guys don't remember a lot of that, but you love listening to some of the music. White Wedding.
All day, every day.
Right. So, so that was a party time. Well, I met a hot rod and we partied hard, and then we decided to get married. And I did at that time because my high school girlfriend wanted a divorce and she wanted to marry someone else at that time. So anyway, so I was 10 years single. I just went 10 years single. This is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to, I didn't make that conscious. I'm not going to meet anybody or marry again. It just happened that way. I was on a party mode. And then 12 years ago, I changed everything in my life. I turned my life over to God and Christ. I decided to serve people the best way I could serve because I was so self-serving at that time. Then bottom line, my picker was way off. I didn't know. I thought the kind of person I wanted, this would be ideal. This would make me feel really good. But it was for all the wrong reasons, And so at that time, I just said, okay, God, I'm not going to date anymore. I'm not going to see anymore. I'm just going to serve people at the mission and go to my church. And that's all I want to do. And I just want you to bring that right person into my life. And he brought the perfect person, absolutely perfect person into my life. She's lovely.
That is
She's
so
wonderful,
sweet.
Caring. She can cook. She's a hot rod. She's amazing. And
that's so nice.
And she absolutely, you don't know what I'm talking about. Well, you probably both do, but to this day.
Is she there? Is she there now? I feel like she needs to make a guest appearance at some point.
What now? Is she what?
I feel like she should make a guest appearance at some point.
Honey. Now she's in the back. Yeah, she's gone. She would love to be hearing this, though. She will. She'll see.
I know. You should definitely play. I was gonna tell her.
You know what I love about her the most, beyond the beauty, the cooking, and everything. She has really taught me to be so relational. And because I tend to get off on, my career or what I'm doing, but she's constantly, daily bringing the family back together, because we have a blended family. And so she's constantly bringing friends. Have you got a hold of? Have you talked to? She's so relational that that's the most beautiful thing about her is she lives to be relational. And that's the quality I wanted most because I grew up not so relational. My mom left me, but I had a horrible relationship with my dad. I never really stayed in touch with my siblings. I have 5 of them, and we never really stay in touch. But my wife is so good at bringing that's the most important part of our life is our relationships that we have surrounding us. And she's forever saying, no, stop right here. No, we're going to do this. Let's do that. Be sure to call. Got a Zoom call with your grandson in San Diego. So, we need to, you can't be on live. You can't be here. You can't be there. So that's what I love about her most. And with that, I know she deeply, deeply loves me, and I deeply, deeply love her. And it's the one that God sent. It's the one that God picked.
Oh.
Right now, I'm like, I think I'm wrong. Maybe I need to get married again. Wow, that's cute. I think my favorite thing.
Agree.
When we get out of our stuff and we start thinking this is the way it should be. I mean, you can call it the universe or God. I call it the universe God created. But when you put it a spiritual part of that, that's a whole different thing. Then you're spiritually bonded. Then you're spiritually connected. Then you think a lot alike. Joe and I are spiritually connected. I ask God for that. That's why he goes, that's why I was going to say, ask the same thing, because I ask God for that kind of connection with the people around me. I really do. That's because I've learned that from her, because we do that all the time, So
that's beautiful.
My favorite thing about your relationship, Santa, is we'll be someplace. Actually, we'll be sitting there, and he goes, "Oh, I gotta call my wife." And he runs away. He goes and talks to his wife, and he comes back, and he's a little bit happier than he was before. And then he's like, "Oh, wait, I'll be right back. Gotta go talk to the missus." And he runs away, and he's talking to his wife, and you look at him, he's over in the corner just hanging out on the phone. And he comes back, and those are really small and simple things, but it's always fun to watch you. There was something in your head that reminded you about your wife, and you're like, wait, I gotta call my wife. And then you just leave and then come back. And that's been I don't care when it happens, how it happens. I always love when I look and you're like, ah, shit, I gotta call my wife. And then you go, you call your wife.
Well, thank you, Joe. One of the critical things is I said this time, we're not going to have sex before we're married. It took me I don't know how long. She knows the exact time. It took me 2 months before we even really kissed. And
wow.
we didn't do the thing before we got married. And because I mainly wanted to set that example for my kids and her kids. This is how you build the foundation of a real good relationship. Is that and
that's risky.
I just wanted to make sure, and I didn't want to leave.
That's risky.
What did you say?
I'm thinking about that in my head right now. I'm like, what? Santa, that's risky business right there.
Why?
That's. I mean, you're trusting. You're trusting literally. I get it, because you're trusting every other cylinder except for physicality. So you're hoping that connection is there when the sex does happen, based upon it being there mentally, emotionally.
So
I'm sure that. So I'm sure that it was there, but that's some risky business to say.
And they still fly, my friend, as of yesterday.
There you go.
All right.
You know what, though,
Joe?
I actually kind of agree, because, in my relationship, sex was a huge factor in determining our quote unquote happiness. And if it didn't happen, the world was ending. You know what I'm saying? And so, if you don't have any other basis in the relationship, if you aren't good friends, or if you can't just be in a room together and just enjoy each other's company, then you don't have a solid relationship. You can't, I actually agree with Santa on this one. I think he's smart for doing it that way.
But let me ask this. And I've only ever been in like serious relationships. So is sex something that people just stay for? Like, is that how does sex become the something
I've done it in the
so
past.
I get the power in
I've
sex,
done that in the past.
but
Yeah.
how does it become like is it that hard to throw away with a person? Or like I get saying, okay, let's not have sex before marriage, but it's like like in your relationship, Daniel, what about it was like how did it get to be the everything? I guess like it's very important, but
I think it started based on the physical connection, and that was the
Exactly.
issue, is that
Exactly. That's
it
usually
started
okay.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, then that's what becomes the norm and what you rely on to carry your relationship.
But
And then when
all
it
the other
doesn't
things,
happen, then they're
yeah.
like, well, what's wrong with you? And then it becomes like almost like it's a chore or something that you are forced to do. And then you're like, well, I'm not doing that because you're like forcing me to do it. That's not how it should be. And then it just
It's
becomes this whole
like
resentful
watering the
ball of
plant. Yeah.
horrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes
So
sense.
actually, like that's why when they say marry your best friend, like that, there is a lot of truth to that, because if you can be friends and have that as a bonus and that all works out well, that's great.
That's my cheat code, actually, is that's probably why I don't understand that component of sex in other people's relationships being like this. Like, I get sex being important and a dominant factor, but I don't get it being like the centerpiece, because none of my relationships have started off of physicality. I only date friends. That way, it just makes it. I know I have a higher capability, and there's more compatibility to get married if they're a friend. So I've actually never experienced that in relationships because I found the cheat code to only dating friends.
Well, that's a plus. Yeah. It's just when you're female, usually the initial attraction is a physical one, and it's hard to find the gentlemen that are, and I say gentlemen strongly because it's hard to find a gentleman who actually wants to get to know you as a person and who you are first without like, just simply getting in your pants. So it's true. It's not always fun, which is why I'm so reluctant to date, because most people just want to,
just put them over the phone. That's the biggest. You just gotta find buffers, and then you'll weed them out very fast. Just find guys who would talk to you over the phone first for 30 days. Then you can go out on dinner. Then you just gotta start putting up little walls. Weed them in there a little bit.
I think I have a lot of walls up. That's part of my problem right now. I'm like, no, I'm not dealing with that anymore. No, not dealing with that anymore.
But okay, so is that a problem or is that a solution?
That you make it a spiritual thing to ask God. Just say, okay, God, I put it in your hands. I mean, I don't know if you believe in God or whatever. I mean, that's up to you. But
yeah,
what do you believe in? We're asking all the questions today.
No, I mean, I don't go to church, but I am incredibly spiritual. Like, I believe in a lot of different things. I believe that there is a higher power. I believe that the universe sends us signs. I believe that there is a God of some sort. Like, I don't know what that person looks like, but I have faith and I believe that I am being guided and I see the signs and I connect. Like, I love like angel numbers and seeing like little signs like that. I look for signs. I believe, I have a partial belief in reincarnation, in like that our spirit carries on, that, like I believe in a little bit of everything. And I think there's a lot of positive philosophies and a variety of different religions and spiritual, aspects that are very true and can be used to just be a better person in general.
What's your favorite number? What's your favorite angel number, and then what's your favorite number?
So I see 1111 all the time, and 444
right there.
Actually. Yeah. But the fun thing is I was 7 has been like just in general the number 7, because I was born on 7/7 at 7:07 in the morning, and I was 7 pounds 7 ounces. So always had
that's your number.
Cool. Yeah. That is cool.
Yeah.
Those are God's.
I don't know anyone else who really has that.
Yeah.
I actually just got introduced to the number 7 like a week ago. And now that's all I'm seeing is the number 7. So that's funny.
That's crazy.
I got
Huh.
Yeah.
sober 11/11/11.
Really?
Yeah, 11/11/11.
See,
But you know that it's like 11/11. That's gut, so like that's intuition.
yeah,
So
no,
that's
I
interesting,
think I'm
Santa.
very intuitive.
Yeah, but it's Santa. I think that's interesting that that's the day that you decided to get sober, and you kind of just been like, I don't know if you noticed this, but I'm not gonna say that you're going with the flow for these last years in your life, at least with it sounds how you talk, but you're definitely going with your gut. Like you're moving with like, oh, gut says this, and I think that
Yep,
is no mistake that your number
yep.
sequence
That's why you guys
shows
are in
that.
my life. I envisioned this
I
in
wholeheartedly believe.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Wow.
yeah,
I lead my life every single day like that. Like if it doesn't fit or it doesn't work, the pieces don't match up, like I won't
mhm,
force it. I just like I
mhm.
will say yes to things and I will I feel like I'm guided. I really do. Like I feel like
Yeah,
I'm just guided to where I need to
that's
be.
so
And
cool.
yeah.
Why do you believe
Wow.
in partial reincarnation? I thought that was also interesting. Like why partial more so?
I don't know. I just there's been moments in my life where like just so for instance like my grandma passed away a few years ago and we were very close. She lived with my parents for like the last, 12 years of her life and she got dementia and Alzheimer's later and we ended up having to put her in a home which we were like so distraught about, but she was seeing a lot of things and what a couple of the times like, you know, she was like seeing like animals and like hummingbirds and stuff that weren't necessarily there, but she believed that they were there.
Mm,
And and so often now, after she passed, there was a moment where we were at her funeral in California, and there's like obviously flowers all around the cemetery. And when we went, there was a hummingbird that like just came and like buzzed by
Oh,
my face as I was like staring at her casket. And so now, like every once in a while, like in Colorado, there'll be hummingbirds that will just fly up and like flutter
mm-hmm.
around and then disappear. And, just moments like that where I'm like, is that a coincidence or is that like someone,
A
that
sign, yeah.
maybe, yeah, a sign, or I don't know if it's them. I don't know if it's my grandma. I don't know if she's just sending me a sign, or I don't know what to believe, but I like to believe everything a little bit just because you never know.
You never
You
know,
never know
yeah.
what is out there.
yeah, I tend to believe those kind of signs as God showing you, bringing back a memory. He loves you so much that he's bringing back a memory that only your grandma could bring that feeling to you. And that's, to me,
Yeah.
it's like God is with you and your grandma's with us. I really believe because you
Yeah.
get that feeling, you get that's that relationship thing between God and you and your grandma that he ties together. That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah. There's just moments like that you just can't, like, you instantly are hit with, there she is, like that's
Yeah.
something like that's her message, or that's her, or that's something that she's trying to tell me, or someone
right,
is sending a message just to remind me of her, or whatever the case may be. Like,
right.
it's
Awesome.
magical.
Okay, wait. I actually didn't ask you the question. Now I'm saying we're at like 53 minutes. All right, so too naughty, too nice. Tell us about a time where. Tell us about an appropriate time where you've been too naughty, and then tell us, and then tell us about a
This
time where
is
you've
our
been too
question.
nice.
Right.
So basically, and so we're still figuring out how to better ask this question, but too naughty being a time where you look back and you're like, hey, I was a complete asshole. Like, I just shouldn't have, you were just the worst version of yourself. You were too, on the negative spectrum, too far gone. But then also in the
A
opposite,
dark
where was a
time in
time
your
where,
life. A dark time for you
but
personally in that.
on the opposite end also, where was a time in life where you were too nice, where you were like, you felt that maybe people were taking you for granted, or people weren't appreciating that you were actually that you flipped the switch and that you went from being an asshole to being nice, and no one appreciated it. Instead, they hurt you or manipulated, or I don't know. Everybody's story is different, but there was a time when you were too good and you were too bad.
I don't know. That's a tough question for me because I feel like I said, like I've always been this person for the most part. Too nice is easy because I feel like I am like a people pleaser, and like in my past relationships and, you know, in some circumstances where I think I let people just kind of walk on me a little bit. The too naughty part though, like immediately it went sexual, but then I was like, I should probably just, that's probably not what he means.
I mean, that is what I meant, but
no,
just
that's
not
totally
just not
Listen,
for this recording
ladies
call.
have a tendency. Ladies have a tendency to minimize their naughtiness. They really do, and then they'll talk more about their hurts. Yeah, they'll minimize their naughtiness. Believe me, ask
Santa,
a lady
you are
how
not
many
asking
times
the
she
right
slept
questions.
with different people, and they'll say 3 or 4 when it's been 10.
You know, you might have to come to like the millennials and the Gen Zs and the younger crowd, Santa, because they do not talk like that anymore. Yeah, they're different, Santa. They'll tell you, and sometimes you'd be surprised in these women nowadays, Santa. They are true hot rods. Like, and the guys are the ones who are the scripts have flipped. It's different.
I agree a little bit with that.
Yeah, it's different now.
I think I'm on the back end though still of that, where like, just to be completely transparent, I am very nice. Like, I am not a hot rod. I have been well behaved through my years of life, but that doesn't mean I'm not like incredibly naughty, if you know what I mean. Like, I am, I can still count on my hands how many men I have slept with. But
Danielle,
I do remember
more and more.
I do remember this one time though when I was like in my 20s. This was like a far reach for me, and I was still a baby, but early 20s, out with a bunch of friends. You know, at that time I did drink, and we were doing tequila shots, and there was a moment where one of my friends, I didn't know it at the time, but apparently she was bi, and she just started making out with me, and I let her, and that's the first time I ever kissed a female. I don't even think I've told that story anywhere, so you're hearing it here first. But and I was like, no, that's not for me. It was the tequila. It's definitely the tequila. So no, ladies,
at least
I'm sorry.
You tried
I don't swing. I don't swing both ways. But it was like one of those realizations where I was like, whoa, what was I doing back then? Like, I was a little freaky, back then. But
it was.
There's more.
Absolutely
that's good for
love
today.
this podcast. This is great.
This podcast just took another turn. It's just wonderful.
You guys wanted the naughty, so that's
No, I make fun of the people. Ask me why'd you quit drinking. I said it was that last homosexual experience. I just couldn't do it. But that's not.
You never know. I mean, it does a lot.
Danielle, are you kidding me? So
they're gonna freak out. I never share stuff like that.
That's funny.
I'm so proud of you.
I think people should.
I couldn't imagine you even finding a story because you're so sweet, and in some ways you remind me of my wife because she is so sweet and she has stayed the course. She's been she was a mama's girl, meaning that she did not get in trouble. She did not do that. She's been, I think, drunk twice or 3 times, high once.
Yeah.
You know, in her whole life. But that's very attractive. Yeah,
that's me. That's me.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I drank all the time. Like, I was always a lightweight. So I probably would get along well with your wife, actually.
Right. Oh my gosh.
It's funny you say that, Santa, because there is something attractive about like something pure. Like, I have all these tattoos. Yes. I actually find women with no tattoos more attractive than women with tattoos. But I love tattoos. But, you know.
Yeah, I don't have any tattoos.
See, I just loving you more and more. You know, the more you talk, the more I fall in love.
Oh, Joey.
This is good.
Uh,
Oh my gosh.
Santa's always wanted to play matchmaker, but we didn't think it happened
I
this
call
fast.
him his
you know?
wingman. I'm his wingman. I've gotten him a few numbers.
Because I've genuinely been struggling with dating. I honestly God think that women who haven't been married are full of shit because I don't think they understand. So I just don't take anything serious. So I need Santa's help all the time to take women serious. Like the other day we were in LA, he's like, Joe, go get that girl's number. I'm like, bro, no, it's gonna be a waste of time. Like I just have no hope for them. I feel so bad. That's so wrong, but I just feel like
I feel you though.
my reluctantness is like, do you want to be married and be serious? If not, what are we doing? Want to high five each other?
Yeah. I'm not ready. I don't think I'm ready to jump back in. And like I was thinking about it the other day, like what would it be like to just have like one introducing another man into my kids' life is probably the most terrifying thing about it all. Because like just the fact that I can like it could go wrong and I can let them down again is like beyond anything that I could even imagine right now. My ex is already re-engaged. Like he's engaged and like he got engaged like a year after our divorce. So it was really weird. So I don't know. That's the biggest part is like, do I do that to my kids? How do I do that? It's just
I've been on the opposite end of that, where a girl I was dating, she had a kid, and like the introduction to the kiddo was very. I mean, it was new to me. I never dated somebody with kids before, but she had a lot of reluctantness in terms of that. Like it was so. She had gotten pregnant and ended up miscarrying, and the pregnancy is what actually was like, all right, now we have to bring families together, and it was very uncomfortable for her. So and I can grasp, bringing people into your kid's life and where you become iffy on things like that, but it was not only just different as a mom. So when I was talking to my mom about it, she's like, bro, she's a mom. Like at the end of the day, that's her kid, and she's gonna be. Moms have illogical ways of being logical about their kids that only a mom understands. So in things I'm like, Mom, this doesn't make any sense. She's like, bro, she's a mom. This is how she's gonna move or maneuver or operate. So when it comes to introducing other people into your kid's life, what's that mom thing for you where like why like help me understand, because I was confused and I grasped it, but I was like I still didn't get it in terms of think your ex he introduced somebody fairly fast in relation to you still haven't. So there's a difference in between the way women think and the way guys think in that manner. What's the thinking like? Because I didn't get clear communication either.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's like this innate, ferocious desire to protect our kids. It's just like built in and hardwired into most. I don't want to speak for all moms, because a lot of moms date, introduce their kids to a ton of people, and then that's fine with them. But for me, and speaking on how I feel about it, is that I just don't want to let my kids down again. And I think there's a fear. It's a bit out of fear that that I'm gonna put them through that again, and I don't want to do that to them. So for me, it's like I'm almost willing to wait until they're through school, like kind of like Santa. I'll wait 10 years to even worry about it. And if I happen to meet someone that makes sense and fits and my kids end up really loving, like, yeah, then they can come around. But I'm not in a place where I want to put them in that situation.
So why do you think men don't think that way?
I don't know if it's all men. I'm sure some men do.
Yeah, I would agree. You guys still have a lot of maneuvering to do inside yourself. There's still some stuff that needs some healing done. Because until that, you're going to keep running into the same thing, and there is still some stuff that has to be taken care of. That's why I said 10 years. I was single for 10 years. Part of that was I'm not going to even look. I'm not going to even be a part of. I have things I want to do, and I'm I'm following when I'm getting guidance constantly from God. And so I'm relying totally on that. When he brings it, then I know it's good. Because when I pick, I pick, craziness. And I didn't want to put myself through that anymore or anybody around my family because I did. And it was not good. It was not. It's
Yeah,
damaging.
see,
It's actually
it is
damaging.
damaging.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
damaging.
until I got some things fixed inside, and it was almost like God knew when I was ready. I was ready, and I can't believe where I'm at and how I think now. I can't believe this is amazing. This is absolutely amazing how I'm dealing with. I don't have that stuff going on anymore. When I made that
Yeah,
transformation of it's me and you, God. This I'm marrying you right now, and we're going through this
Yeah.
life every step together. And then if you want to bring another person, a female, into my life, then that's your call, not mine anymore. And when that happened, it was almost like click. Now, believe me, I constantly wanted to look and talk. I even talked a few times to some ladies because I went to a church that, there was a lot of people there and they were attracted to that, my attitude. It was an attractive
yeah.
thing for a woman to see too. And
Not as Santa, Daniel. You have to see the picture of Santa when he had like the gray and he kind of had like this biker vibe to her, like
I would
to him.
love to
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
You
You
should
gotta
make
see
some
some.
content with old you
Yeah,
versus new you. I don't know if that would go well,
yeah.
but
Like if
I would be
I'm
interested to
gonna
see
show you
that.
some pictures of older of like Santa a couple years ago before the white hair, and when you imagine him walking in the church, all the church ladies are yeah, because he kind of had this biker vibe to him, but he still had the big
oh,
mustache,
I
you
that's
know.
when I was out of the rodeo business. I had a big handlebar mustache. I was on a cow calf ranch with my family ranch. I was a cowboy. I'm a retired rodeo clown. So I was
Yeah.
at the rodeos every weekend and it was all drinking and craziness going on. And when I rolled into church, it was with this hat and handlebar mustache. But I was a
That's
cowboy.
so fun. I think we need pictures. I think we should do another podcast where we just talk about our
Would you want to do
history
that?
and our past. And
Would you want?
I want to see all the pictures of rodeo days. Some video would be good if we edited some of that in, I think.
Well,
It'd be solid.
remember, that's before cell phones and stuff was a lot of that. But I retired. I did my last rodeo 12, 14 years ago. So I was.
They had to have some,
There are
some
some.
camcorder footage.
I have. I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have pictures, lots of pictures, but um, yeah. Anyway, so I was the cowboy, and so that was kind of attractive to some people too. So, and I mean,
I'm sure it
I'm the
was.
I
cowboy.
come in stinking like a cowboy.
Why?
We just fed or we delivered calves that morning, and but that's how we rolled. So anyway,
That's incredible.
right. So yeah. I would love to have you back on, Danielle. I am just I'm more deeply in love with you than I was before. This is incredible.
Aw.
This is
Thank
See,
incredible.
you. That's so kind.
now you're catching the
Really like
effect, Santa. See, everybody thought that
yeah.
I was crazy. Now Santa's he's catching the effect now.
So wait, everyone thought you were crazy?
Yeah, I was running around like, bro, I love Danielle, and everybody's like, Joe, shut up. I'm like, no. Now Santa's telling you that he loves you now. He's starting to. I'm a visionary, I just see it a little bit earlier before everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Oh, goodness.
No. I thought we were just going to
Well,
talk
thank
about
you.
here, but we got to talk about Danielle, and I think that's more important because now I know why Spread the Cheer is so successful and doing so well. And it's going to be even more because you're going to be bringing on more and more people into it because of your glow. because of your heart, because of your passion, and your determination to spread the cheer. I'm
Oh,
so glad I got to meet you.
well, thank you. Don't make me get all emotional because I'm just here in this house all by myself and I'll go eat like a whole tub of ice cream, you know? It could be very dangerous.
Well, that's my
I don't know.
goal
I think
Uh,
is to help people get more emotional, because that's what my wife says. Says you know how to help people feel and get to their feelings, and in no time you'll be getting emotional. And that's one of
I did. It is my goal to make somebody cry on this podcast. Nick
Uh-huh.
didn't cry yesterday. Danielle, you threw me all the way off. So, you're like an onion. You got a lot of layers to you. I'm learning.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
So many
Santa
layers.
Santa
Yeah.
cried the first episode, and I was only a little bit. And I was trying to figure out like what question is gonna hit him, and I forgot what question. It was so random. It wasn't any of the hard questions though at all, and he just kind of wrote down a little bit. But I do want people to get emotional and cry in this episode.
Right.
That's why we ask these
Right.
tough questions.
We got a little closer, Joe. We could be better. And it couldn't be from a better person than Danielle. So that's perfect.